government at bay to do what the federal government's supposed to do, which is very limited.
Right.
Very limited powers under the Constitution.
Yeah,
let the people
absolutely.
of Montana decide everything else.
And we think, and every state's like that. Every state's different. They have different types of people, different types of issues. That's why the Constitution was written the way it was, so individual states could still run their lives with the people they got in there, as opposed to the federal government trying to make everybody look the same. Everybody follow the same rules. It just doesn't work, and that's what we see.
Yeah, one size fits all is not the American way.
Yeah, it just won't work that way, and you just got to get the state strengthened up. So we totally agree with that. I think a lot of people are working towards that around the country from what we watch.
Yeah, it's definitely heading that way. The American people were a majority center-right group of citizens, and the way the country, the federal government right now is a left-leaning operation, as you well know.
Yep.
And so we're kind of heading in opposite directions. The federal government's going one way, the people are going another way. And what everybody forgets in this country, you know what the first three words of the Constitution are, Eric? We the people. You ever looked at the original copy of the Constitution and noticed that those letters are they're like 4 inches high.
Yeah, they're big letters.
And everything else is written small. They made the point, the founding fathers made the point that we the people are the most important. We are the most important things, so to speak,
Right.
in this country.
Right.
And that we are the most important words written on that document. We the people. Our republic is a grounds up, grassroots, citizen involved, people hold the ultimate power type of government.
Right.
And it's been reversed around where they literally tell us in Washington, D.C., we don't know when we vote on issues, we don't know what's best for us. They know what's best. The small group of the 545 people that rule this country, 435 congressmen, 100 senators, 9 Supreme Court justices, and 1 president, 545 people.
Tell 350 million people how to run
Exactly.
their lives.
And they say they know better.
Right.
And you see it in states like California. Twice California has voted to turn down gay marriage in California. The first time they just did it on a vote. The second time they amended the Constitution. And it's still being challenged in court.
Yep.
And when the people speak out and say this is something we don't want, that is the deciding factor. As long as it's a fair election, which we do have fair elections here in America, there is some rigging that goes on with groups such as Acorn, and where they're registering false voters and dead voters and things like that. But overall, we have fair elections in this country. And when the polls show that the residents of a state do not want something, or they do want something, that's how it should be. That is how our government is set up.
Right.
And yet,
It should be.
you have judicial malfeasance going on in this country, all the way from the Supreme Court down. And then we have a lot of these 5-4 decisions. In the decision regarding the recall of senators, that you couldn't do that, there was a dissenting vote that said that by Justice Clarence Thomas, that he wrote the dissenting argument that said exactly the 10th Amendment allows the states, the people of those states, to do what they want to do.
Right.
And yet there was a 5-4 decision going the other way. And so, again, now you limit it down to 5 people telling 300 million people in this country what they can and can't do. And that is not how our government is set up.
And I think that's why the Tea Party's become so aggressive and outspoken now, is because I think we used to call it the silent majority, but now it's like, enough's enough. We've seen this for 50 years, and we've kind of put up with it, but now it seems to be escalating even faster, and the huge deficits are going to burden our kids and our grandkids and their grandkids. It's just stirred people up enough where we got to talk about it.
Exactly.
And it's not, they say we're against the president. We're not against the president. We're against policies that we're saying. And it comes all the way from the Congress, the Senate, the Supreme Court, and the president. And some of his executive orders make people nervous. So it's the whole group out there in D.C. that the Tea Party is concerned about.
Yes, the Tea Parties across the country have formed under different circumstances, but we're all headed for smaller government, less government involvement in our everyday lives. There's hardly any aspect of our everyday life that is not affected by the government or regulated by the government.
Right.
And if you start looking at everything we do is regulated by the government.
Yep.
And that needs to cease.
It's regulated at excessive cost, a lot of inefficiencies in the government. A lot of people have jobs that don't do a whole lot. But what they say, the average wage plus benefit of a federal employee is more than double the average taxpayer in Main Street. And those things got to stop because they are our servants. They're not our masters. And so they need to feel some of the pain, is what we tell people.
Yes, they do. They need to feel the pain. I think that the government should put a full stop on spending right now. They actually need to go in reverse. They need to lay off some of the massive numbers of employees that have been hired even in the last year. Upwards of 100,000 people have been hired by the Obama administration, while the rest of the country is losing jobs left and right.
Yep.
And the federal government continues to grow, and the salaries increase. Everybody else is scratching to get by, and yet they're getting raises, they're getting huge bonuses. The congressional staff of our congressmen and senators get huge, lavish bonuses each year.
You got a paid vacation last week when it snowed out there, and that's unheard of out here in the Rockies, taking days off for snow.
Exactly. So I'm going to touch on that real quick.
Okay.
Last week I saw that the federal government being shut down in Washington, D.C. because of a snowstorm was costing America $100 million a day because it was shut down. And just want to point out, the federal government is not a producing entity.
Right.
It does not make a product. It is not a factory. It does not sell a product. It should, in reality, when they're shut down, we should start saving money because they are a spender. They are not a producer. They are a spender. They are a user. And so I just think it was very odd that the mainstream media was saying it was costing us $100 million every day that Washington, D.C. was shut down, because I just don't buy that.
Yeah. Well, either that or they make a lot of money out there and benefits if they pay those people for not coming to work. It's still costing us that.
But they're going to get paid whether they're at work or not.
Right. Yeah.
So, in reality, if they're not writing bills, spending our money, the days they were shut down should have saved us money. I think the
hope was it would last longer so they wouldn't get back and pass more laws that cost us more money. But like you said, and I know Danny Reberg in our conversations at Great Falls last week, was maybe we got to sit down and look at cutting some bills and cutting some costs in Washington one of these days instead of just spending all the time. And I said, that's the best thing I've heard in a long time.
Exactly.
I tell people 5 years of cutting spending in Washington would probably be a good thing for America. Instead of just every time they get out there, they want to spend money. They never stop spending extra money.
And the amount they spend is just astronomical. I don't have to tell you the numbers, but there's no way, there literally is no way to pay it back. Right now, with the actual debt and with the promises of payments to be made in the future on Social Security and Medicare, every American owes more than $500,000 towards.
It's scary, isn't it?
Exactly, and there's no way.
We're about out of time here, so we thank you for all you're doing in Columbus. I know it's a hard work, and you guys do a good job out there. And we'll catch everybody next week on the show. And good luck.
All right, glad to be here.
You bet.
Goes by quick. You sit here.
Some people say, "Hey, talk for an hour." I could do it. We could do this for an hour, but
yeah, that's what you talk.
Who's going to watch it for an hour?
They shut me up. We have our meetings and stuff. I get going.
Yeah,
I start talking, and
you did good.
You start taking questions from people. Well, I've never been on TV before. But
Craig Kearns was real nervous when he was there. I've never done this kind of interview.
Well, I think.
So, Creighton, the good news is I like you.
Great job.
Thanks. Always remember this. I always forget it.
Yeah.
Try to walk away.
Walk away with it.
Walk away.